Well, it looks like the review embargo is out and the reviews are in. Critics are having absolute meltdowns about Stellar Blade, some just very, very absurd, over the top whining and complaining. And guess what? They've already censored the game and it's not even out yet. I don't even understand. I thought that this wasn't supposed to be the thing. But that's, I mean, look, am I going to not buy the game because of this one thing? Probably not. But it seems like, another one of those slippery slopes where, yeah, it's not a big deal. And I can see how some people would be perhaps quote unquote offended by it, but it's at most just a joke. And the reviews, by the way, are overwhelmingly positive, except for the few kind of woke outlets who are having a meltdown. So first of all, let's talk about the censorship. So there was an R shop that you could visit in the game. It references Roxanne, who is one of the game's information brokers. The Hard Graffiti, meanwhile, this is IGN having a complete meltdown about it, can be found in numerous areas throughout the game. So again, I want to be clear. So the place is called the R Shop. The word hard is graffitied in several places in the game. In this one place, it's next to the R Shop. So it could be read by a journalist who is having a meltdown as the Hard R Shop, which of course they pretended, oh my God, they're talking about the N-word. Well, actually, hard R can also refer to, and has for a long time referred to, a hard R rating on a movie. So it doesn't just mean, by the way, it doesn't just mean what they want it to mean. So it can be found. So they admit that it can be found in numerous areas throughout the game. In a statement released to IGN, PlayStation said that the developer Shift Up had no intention of creating offensive artwork, promising to remove it as part of the Stellar Blades Day 1 patch. So the journalist got it immediately replaced to, I can't even read what that says. Trime? I don't know. I mean, obviously it's just another generic piece of graffiti. It's already patched out as part of the patch that adds new game plus super quick. Step by step, it's going to get censored. I mean, there was a literal article yesterday that like, where is this? It was like Stellar Blade's going to be released uncensored, and why that's wrong. I mean, that's an actual article. You know what I mean? Like, what are you talking about? You see this from The Gamer, which is one of the worst. People say Kotaku's woke trash. This is worse. Stellar Blade's uncensored release shouldn't be a cause for celebration. Developers Shift Up announced that Stellar Blade will be launching uncensored across all territories ahead of its release later this week, putting to rest the non-existent fears the game will be nipped and tucked in the name of censorship. Oops! They already censored it. Now, you could say, oh, okay, it's not that big a deal. It was a joke, maybe that some people would be offended by. I challenge you to find anyone who would be offended by it. That's all I'm asking. Please show me on the doll where somebody is actually offended by this. Anyway, it's a complicated situation and to understand, we need to look into the relationship between censorship and video games and how their experience often changes depending on when or where to have them. Japan is known for scaling down the difficulty of certain games so that the global audiences aren't turned off, while will often be less willing to depict, spicier stuff in ways that Western audiences embrace. It's really about companies trying to stifle our creative expression of free speech. Normally, it's just a ratings board stuff wanting to sell more copies based on spreadsheet data. That's true. However, The Gamer, that is, of course, a hilariously disingenuous a disingenuous framing of what people even mean when they're talking about video game censorship. Nobody's really talking about that. If you want to use specific examples, you could talk about how Blizzard bent the knee to China and removed skeletons from the video game. There was, I think, was it a Tom Clancy game or Rainbow Six? It was some game where they like removed gambling machines from it. Remember that? That is localized censorship. You want to sell the game in China, you got to take out skeletons. Why? I don't know. Chinese people are weak, are delicate. I don't know. I don't know why you would do that or whatever the case is. But when Blizzard does that, yes, that is to sell more games. But when people are talking about censorship, they're talking about, well, exactly like this. Patching a joke out of the game. CENSORED review day and IGN is already going after the game. Calling a screenshot racist is a huge stretch, but they have to imagine racism everywhere when they can't find enough to keep the machine going. And of course, it got immediately patched out, which we talked about. Now, hey, journalists, if this screenshot offended you, you're the actual racist. Well, the IGN journalist who wrote it, well, current IGN news director, rainbow flag in the bio, no pronouns, which is curious, but they are another one of those people that promote their blue sky, which is basically a far leftist echo chamber. So, of course, it was a woke games journalist who wrote that. And you see the Eurogamer review blast CENSORED, blaming it for creating harassment. Still gets a 4 out of 5. Must be one of the best games ever, probably. It just comes across as sleazy. Yes, but apparently that works for more than just men. So they're mad that women don't like it or women aren't offended by it. In one sense, it makes me think, who am I to judge? Really? I sleep with the Birdman in Mass Effect. And yet, at the same time, I can see the design history and this type of over-spicy woman has had in gaming, even when it was indeed made with men solely in mind. So I get some of the criticism. It's an unwelcome reminder of how gaming used to treat its women and objects as objects to ogle. So you're saying they don't do that anymore, and that you're having some sort of PTSD flashback, and that's somehow Stellar Blade's fault. That's what it seems like to me. Like, is that what's going on here? You're having some sort of flashback, and it's their fault for that? At its best, all this amounts to an embarrassing look for video games. The exact type of conversation that makes them see us just as juvenile and shallow as some outside of the industry still believe. Of course, the gamers are still debating boobs. What else would they be doing? At worst, however, it's incredibly toxic discourse that's turned Stellar Blade into a lightning rod for harassment. To who? Can you point to me? Point me to where somebody is being harassed or engaging in this type of behavior, and I will stand with you and disavow it. I really will. I don't stand for that. I don't think people should be going to other people's profile or platforms or and dogpiling them. That just makes you look bad, and it doesn't get anything done. You can like Stellar Blade's spiciness without going on a hate campaign against all other types of women in games and women working in the game space. Nobody's doing that, by the way. But then admitting that would make too much sense. None of that's happening. There's no evidence of that. The only time you're getting any kind of real back and forth is when women games journalists are attacking male gamers and female gamers for liking the game. This is a game that is sitting at an 82. That's probably a rightful score. I haven't played it yet. I will prioritize playing it though. And to be honest with you, it looks pretty good. IGN, we know they have their biases. They still gave it a 7 out of 10, even after being butthurt about it. Now, again, IGN famously gave a Pokemon game that was based in a water world a lower score because it had too much water in it. I mean, that's a real thing that happened. 3 out of 10, too much water in a water Pokemon game. But, I don't think that just because the protagonist in this game is, a good-looking female, that means that automatically all criticism should be ignored. That's not what I'm trying to say, and I don't believe that. But I think when you can look at the people that are writing these reviews, and you can see them having meltdowns online about it, it just can make you it's very easy to just not care what they have to say. They say Stellar Blade is great in all the most important ways for an action game. but dull characters, a lackluster story, and several frustrating elements of its RPG mechanics prevent it from soaring along with the best of the genre. I mean, it sounds to me that they wanted to give it an 8, but they just couldn't because, you know, whammon. You see, some of these, if only there was some kind of group you could contract to give media, I don't know, a sensitivity read and avoid creating work like this for yourself in the future. If only Sweet Baby Inc. had worked on the game, Stellar Blade would not have been racist. I mean, that is essentially what they're saying. Now they're accusing Stellar Blade of deliberately pandering to people who have issues with race. Not only does Stellar Blade appeal to creeps, it also appeals to racists, too. Again, hard R can refer to a movie rating, not the actual N-word. Stellar Blade review day, they're already going after the game. I mean, like, they found like a total nothing burger in the game. A total nothing burger in the game. And that's what they had made to point out. They had to point that out. Give it a B-. Oh, okay, maybe it is a B-. I don't know. But I know I don't trust games journalists who spend all day whining about a pretty lady in a video game. And, of course, making up all that fake harassment. So Stellar Blade comes out this week. If you buy it, if you play it, I hope you enjoy it. I know I'm going to give it a whirl. I'm going to give it a try. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do leave a like on it and give the account a subscribe or a follow, and we'll talk to you again real soon.